Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallam. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tamim bil khair wa bika nasta'in ya Fattah ya Fattah ya Fattah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So inshallah, we are going to start to learn about menstruation, which is in Arabic called haid. It can, we can also say haze like in Urdu, but in Arabic it's called haid because we pronounce the dod, right? And then there are different names, like menstruation, periods, menses, all can be used for haids. So basically, there are three types of bleedings that we women experience. Okay, number one, which we call haid, that's our menstrual monthly cycle. Number two is nifas, which we say after childbirth, the bleeding which we experience, that's the nifas. It's called postnatal bleeding. And there's third type of bleeding, which is called istihaza, and which is neither haid nor the nifas. So inshallah, when we do the definition of haid and nifas, then inshallah you'll get to know what istihaza actually is. Periods, yes. So the literal meaning of haid, like the meaning of the lugwi mana, it's called, it is to flow basically. So that's why it is called haid, because the flowing of the blood, from our wombs monthly, that's why we call it a haid, because it is a flowing of a blood from our wombs. That's a literal definition of haid. For the legal, like for our Shara'i definition, which we say, so it is basically, there are two definitions. Basically, number one is, it is like the the physical impurity, which we say hadas akbar. So that it is an impurity because it is a blood, right, that exits basically, or that flows from the womb and it exits from the vagina. Okay. And the second definition is that this is a state which which stops you to do worship. So all those worships which requires purity, it stops you from doing that, such as prayer, recitation of Quran, fasting, entering the masjid, etc. So if you see scientifically, we have our uterus, right? So our, our ovaries, they basically release some hormones, and those hormones, they build, a lining around our uterus. And when that lining, built up, and if there's any fertilized egg that gets stick to that lining and start developing, and then how we get pregnant. But if there is no fertilized egg, then that lining starts shedding, and that's how we get our monthly blood, and monthly we call it a haid. So that is why it's very important to know that the blood that comes from that uterus, from womb, only that blood is called haid. If there's any other blood coming from stomach or any other part of your body, that is not haid. So we need to make this distinction clear in order to really know what haid is. Okay, and then when we say about nifas is the blood which we see after the childbirth, and it is when the half or majority of the child comes out, then the blood which you see, that is nifas, not any blood before the childbirth. So any blood that comes after the half of the child comes out.
So sometimes when we say our, what do you call, the labor when it starts, and sometimes we start bleeding,
that's not
so
nifas.
that is not nifas.
No,
and
no.
all the salah has to be done until the child is actually half of the child is out.
Of the child. And normally it happens when half of the child comes out, then it comes out like quickly. It won't take that long.
No.
So it's just the half of the child comes out, then the bleeding.
So in our
follows.
terms, you can say until you see the child is coming out,
Ji.
kind of,
Ji.
because obviously it doesn't stay there.
Ji.
Those people who can sit on the floor, please sit on the floor. Otherwise, and obviously, there are some more chairs here as well. We should have taken chairs now. और लिखे पीछे की तरफ से उस तरफ या के आगे से कर सकते हैं। Would you prefer questions at the end or?
I think at the end would be better, because maybe you have question and then it will be answered during your J, inshallah. And if you have like C-section, so with that, if you are being cut off, that blood is not called nifas until unless you see the blood coming out from your vagina. That blood, only then you say that it's a nifas. But at times, in very rare cases, there are women who don't see blood right after childbirth. They see after few days or after a few moments, you can say. So even if C-section, if there is no blood from the vagina right after your C-section, then you cannot say that the blood which comes up, from your surgery, that is nifas. That's not nifas. Nifas is only when it comes out from the vagina.
Sorry, say it again.
With the C-section. So when you have a C-section, obviously you are being cut up. So that blood, you cannot say that is a nifas. Only when the blood comes out from the vagina. Because sometimes it happens in very rare cases that the blood does not come like right after, like straight away after the C-section from your vagina. It takes some time. So whenever you see the blood from the vagina, then you can say my nifas started. Not before, like, when your C-section, like your surgery is in the process and you see the blood, that blood is not called nifas. Only from the vagina, which you see, is called nifas. Okay, so now for for menstruation, there are there are minimum and there's maximum for to know what are my Haid days. So the minimum for Haid is 3 days, which is 72 hours. Like we like calculate in hours to be more specific. So we say it's like 3 days and 3 nights altogether. So it totals like 72 hours. So any blood less than 72 hours, we cannot call it a Haid. 1 day, 2 day bleeding, if you see, and then it stops, then you cannot say that is a Haid. And the maximum for Haid is 10 days, which is 240 hours. This is according to Hanafi. Okay, there are different views for other mazahib. And for nifas, there is no minimum number of days. You can, but the maximum is 40 days. Okay, so yes, so there's no minimum number for. Okay, now when we say about when we deal with this blood and purity, because we have like when we say we are in a Haid, we say like we have a habit, right? The number of days we bleed, and then we have a purity days in which we don't bleed. So that the total of both, we call it a habit, right? So there are bloods which we call valid blood and invalid blood. So it's like in Arabic, it's called dam sahi for valid blood, and invalid blood. Sorry. No, dal. Like dal means blood. And valid is sahi. And there is invalid blood. No, sahi is valid. Invalid is which we call istihaza.
So do we say dam sahi and dam ghair sahi?
Ji. Or we also use dam fasid. Okay, so what is if we say valid blood in Haid, right? So like yes, dam sahi. So the dam sahi in Haid, we said it is it's more than 3 days and less than 10 days. So dam sahi in like valid blood in Haid is the blood which is seen more than 3 days and less than 10 days. And for nifas, we say the valid blood is whatever you see within 40 days. It could be any number of days. Now it can happen like, that if you're, let's say you bleed 7 days, right, every month. So it can happen that first 2 days you see the blood, and then the next 3 days you don't see any blood, right? And then the last 2 days again you see the blood. So in between, let me just draw this.
ऑनलाइन जो होंगे वो तो obviously देख सकते हैं. Okay.
Okay, so let's say if your habit is 7 days, in the first 2 days you see blood, then 3 days no blood, and then the last 2 days you again see the blood. So this is the term as actual blood, means you are seeing the blood. So this is like we say, the term we use, we say the actual blood. And these 3 days, even though you don't see any blood, but this is all called hate, because this is your habit. And this we term as legal blood.
Even though there is no blood.
Yes. Postnatal bleeding. Sorry for my wife. This is same with nifas. That if you see a gap within 40 days, then that will be your legal blood, even though if you're not seeing any blood, but that will all be counting as your nifas if your habit is 40 days. Inshallah, we'll do this in detail later on about when the habit changes and how you will calculate. But if your habit is 40 days and you see first 20 days blood, then for the next 10 days, you don't see any blood. And the last 10 days, again, you see the blood. So in the middle, this is even there's no blood, this is called legal blood. And this all will be counted as your nifas. Okay, is this clear till here? Okay. Okay, so now this is all about blood. Now, next is we have purity. In purity as well, we have like we say valid purity, invalid purity, complete purity, and incomplete purity. Valid purity, invalid purity, complete purity, incomplete purity. So the valid purity, we say, is that purity which is more than 15 days.
You're talking about
Purity. Yes, after you finish your haid, your menstruation, then the days without the bleeding, right? That is we term as purity.
It could be after nifas as well. Is it both same?
After nifas, there's a different thing. But basically, there should be a gap between your nifas ends and then your periods to be start. There's a gap at least minimum 15 days.
Yeah.
Yes, but yes, but there are few more things as per your habit. If your habit is not 40 days, it's 30 days, then it like like in simple form, yes, in a simpler way, if you say that this is yes, for haid as well, there should be minimum, okay, more than 15 days of gap between your two periods. And in nifas, when your nifas ends, right, whatever days it 30 days, 40 days as per your habit, if it is your second child. Or so after that, there should be minimum of 15 days gap as well. And in order to say, if let's say if you have bleeding afterwards, because some people have bleeding after, like if they finish it on 40th day, right, they then pass. After 10 days, they started bleeding again. So we cannot say that haid menstruation. So there should be a gap of minimum 15 days, not less than 15 days. So the valid purity is, which is the number of days which you don't bleed, it should be more than 15 days.
You're talking about the second child, isn't it? Second or third.
Yeah, but with first is because with first child there's no habit, right? So you by default your nifas would be till 40 days, but it could happen that you only bleed till 30 days, but you will get to know after 40 days. So you will calculate. Inshallah, I'll come on this point when we inshallah discuss the nifas, when we start calculating. Okay, so the first thing is the valid purity is it should be more than 15 days. Number two is that it should not be mixed with blood in the beginning, middle, or end. I'll explain this, what it does mean. So it should not be mixed with blood in the beginning, in the middle, or end. And this is a purity, no, the third, this is a purity between two valid bloods. Can I have this one? Okay. So it is between two valid bloods. So the second point which I mentioned, that it should not be mixed with the blood in the beginning, in the middle, or in the end. It means that let's say you bleed from 1st till 12. Okay, this is your blood. I'm just saying blood. I'm not saying this is head or not. This is you bleed, and then from day 13 till 20, you have no blood. And then from, let's say, 21 till 25, you see blood again. Okay, so for example, your habit is here, if we assume your habit is 8 days. Okay, and now this one you see blood for the first 12 days. So in these 12 days, your first 8 days, 1 to 8, will be haid. Okay, and then from day 9 till day 12 is istihara. Okay, and now when you see this purity, we say this purity is not valid because there's a blood before it, which is not valid. Istihaza, we say the valid blood is only haid or nifas. So istihaza is the invalid blood. So there's a blood before this purity, which is not valid. That's why we cannot say this purity is valid. Okay, so the valid purity would be like you bleed from 1 to 8. Okay. Then you have 15 days of gap, right? And then again you have blood for 8 days. So this is your habit 8 days. Okay, so this purity comes between two valid bloods. So the last one which I say, between two valid bloods, then this purity, we say this is a valid purity. Okay, but this one is not, this is, we say, invalid purity, because this is between two invalid bloods. Or it could happen that, you know, on this, maybe in this purity, like 7 days of it, in just one day in the middle, you see a 1 spot or 2 spot. Okay, so this is, this purity will become invalid, and this is the valid purity. जी दोबारा बताओ. अच्छा ठीक है, ओके सॉरी. अच्छा पहले हम ना वैलिड समझ लेते हैं. ठीक है, वैलिड प्योरिटी क्या है कि आपकी जो भी हैबिट डेज हैं विद इन 10 डेज. ठीक है, उसके बाद मिनिमम 15 डेज का गैप आया, राइट, एंड देन उसके बाद आपके दोबारा ब्लीडिंग स्टार्ट हुई, राइट, विच इज अगेन द ब्लीडिंग शुड बी अकॉर्डिंग टू योर हैबिट, नॉट मोर देन 10 डेज. ठीक है, तो फिर ये जो बीच में प्योरिटी है, दिस इज कॉल्ड वैलिड. हम जहाँ रियल एग्जाम्पल कर लेते हैं कि हम लोग को अगर लेट्स से 8 डेज हमें ब्लीडिंग होती है, ठीक है, और हमारी प्योरिटी लेट्स से 20 डेज होती है. ठीक है, तो फिर अब उसके बाद हमें दोबारा ब्लीडिंग होती है, तो हमारी 8 डेज की ब्लीडिंग होती है. So this 20 days is your valid purity, because this comes after a valid blood and like before a valid blood. Next month जब आपका हेड होंगे, so this is valid purity. So it could be any number, but it should not be less than 15 days. 15 days and more should be there should be a gap between your two periods. ठीक है, so this is all, this is valid. ठीक है, if it happens your habit is 8 days, right? You bleed every month 8 days, but a month comes that you see the blood for 12 days. Okay. And then you see no blood for 7 days. Let me just do like this. For next 7 days, you see no blood. Okay. And then for next 5 days, you again see the blood. Okay. So because this purity is less than 15 days, this is not more than 15 days. That is why this purity is invalid. Number one. Number two, this is invalid because it comes after an invalid blood. Because you cannot bleed for 12 days. You can only bleed maximum for 10 days for your haid. Okay. Since you bled for 12 days, and in those 12 days, your 8 days will be considered as haid. And the next 4 days is istihaza, which is invalid blood. Because this purity comes, like there's an invalid blood before this purity, right? That is, yes, that is why this is invalid blood. And plus the first thing, this is less than 15 days. It is invalid like anyway, because it's less than 15 days.
So also called istihaza.
Yes, invalid blood is istihaza.
There is no blood in 7 days.
No blood.
So it does not come into istihaza.
No.
इस्तेहाजा तो सिर्फ 2 दिन 4 दिन हो गए after 8 days.
जी, istihaza is you see the blood, but that is outside of your haid days.
Right.
Okay. So one, the maximum is from 3 till 10. Within this days, whatever blood you see, that is your haid. Before 3 days, like let's say like 1 day or 2 day, right? If you see blood only for 2 days, right? And then you don't see blood till 15 days. So these 2 days, you cannot say this is my haid, because it's not qualify the minimum number. The minimum number of days is 3 days, which is 72 hours.
इसमें जो invalid blood होगा वो हमसे 9 days से count करेंगे till 7 days. Right?
This one?
मतलब no
जी,
from 7 days. तो हम 9 days से count करेंगे.
Till
After
12.
9 days से
9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. तो 12th तक आपका इस्तिहाजा है वो. तो 12 वो 4 days इस्तिहाजा में आएंगे और first 8 days आप हेड में होंगे.
और फिर
But then you don't see any blood for 7 days.
ये
ठीक है?
invalid का क्या है?
ये invalid purity होगी. ठीक है? ये देखिए, this happens like when we experience irregular bleeding. So this we all get to know after these, you see this blood, because at this point you don't know that you are going to have next day pure. क्योंकि आपने 12 days bleeding है, let's the 13th day you don't know कि bleeding होगी या नहीं होगी. You assume कि होगी, but there's no bleeding on the 13th day. So in these scenarios, you will get to know, like we will say that after you finish this and you see this blood, then you get to know that, oh, like all this has got messed up. Inshallah, we will we will learn this calculation later on. I just wanted to want you guys to just learn the terminology, because these will be used like valid blood, invalid blood, and it will help you to calculate your cycle. So just for
after invalid blood, and it is less than
15 days,
it is invalid too.
Yes. Okay. So the invalid purity, number one is it is less than 15 days, and number 2 point is it is between 2 invalid bloods.
इसमें हम बात करेंगे कि it's different for both of the.
G, how you calculate? It's different.
And some rulings and everything will be affected kinds of impurity.
Yes. So this is the main definition of invalid purity. Okay, and the valid purity, I mentioned that it is a purity which is 15 days or more. Okay, so whenever you see blood after 15 days, then that's your valid purity. I'm just telling these terms as well because in order to establish your habit, you should know that whether you let's say if if you don't experience any regular bleeding, right? You're normal every month. But a month comes and you started having your irregular bleeding. Then they ask you that, tell me your previous valid purity and your valid blood. Then it helps you to calculate your irregular bleeding. This is wanted to know what is valid and invalid purity. Okay, then I said the third is complete purity. Okay, so the complete purity is a purity of 15 days or more, whether it's valid or invalid. And I mean by that is, let's say किसी को someone experiences, like, after their haid finishes, they experience 15 days of purity. Then one day they just see the blood, and then again this have 15 days of purity. So this purity, this is a complete purity, right? Because of 15 days. But this is we say I just, because we term there's a complete purity, because whether it is valid because it is 15 days, or it becomes invalid because there's a 1 day blood in between, and 1 day blood is not hate. We say istihaza. Istihaza is invalid purity, invalid blood. So that is why the we say the four terms, right? Valid purity, which is 15 days or more; invalid purity, which is less than 15 days; and between two invalid bloods. Now the complete purity is, which is 15 days or more, whether it is valid or it is invalid. It will though consider the complete purity because it qualifies the 15 days criteria. But a day comes in between, which is invalid. So this is your, because like you can use this purity for to establish your habit basically. Okay, because this is valid. This is complete purity. Okay, I hope this much, inshallah, it will get more clear when we start solving different scenarios. Okay, there are three type of women, like three type of, we can say, number one is we call a beginner. Just first the girl sees the blood, so we say that is a beginner, और उसमें उसकी कोई habit established नहीं हुई because it's the first time she's seeing the blood. तो उसमें okay, I just wanted to mention these first three, then we will go into detail. Okay, the second we say is a habitual woman, जिनकी establish हुई भी होती है habit. Or the third type of woman, जिसे बोलते हैं confused woman, who has forgotten her habit both of haid and nifas. उसे बिल्कुल like she is lost, कि मुझे उसे याद ही नहीं होता कि उसकी habit actually है क्या. तो वो उसे हम बोलते हैं confused woman. Arabic में से बोलते हैं mudilla, if you want. mudilla. जी, it's the same. इसे मुतहय्यरा भी बोलते हैं. Sorry.
If I don't remember, if I don't write it down, I'm like confused.
Okay, and then habitual. is Motada. Habitual is Motada. I think I'm pronouncing it right. What is it? Is I say Aina? Mu'tada, yes. Mu'tada. And Muqtadiya is the okay. So this is the three type of women: beginner, habitual, and confused. So the beginner, we say a girl who is 9+ in lunar years. If she sees the blood, then we say that she is having is menstruation. Before that 9+ lunar years, she is not. Even if she sees blood at the age of 7 or 6, we cannot say that is a haid. So now, in order to qualify a girl that she has started her haid, she should be 9+ lunar years. And I think it is in our calendar is 8 years, few months, like 8 years. I think I will double check. 8 years. It is 8 months or 8 year 4 months. I'm getting confused, but in our 8 year, 8 months, right? 8 year 8 months equals to 9 lunar years. So what we do for the beginner, we see ke obviously we have to see ke uski kitni bleeding hoti hai. It should, again, we have to have the criteria: not less than 3 days, not more than 10 days. It has to be more than 3 days in order to say that girl has started. Because at time comes, I just recently have the case that the girls at the age of 9, she sees blood for only 2 days, and every month she's just seeing the blood for 2 days. So that's not hate, because she's only seeing, even though she has qualified the age, but not that numbers. So 2 days every month, we cannot say that the girl has started the periods. Similarly, if let's say if any girl starts bleeding and it goes over 10 days, so what you do, you just take the first 10 days as her haid, and the next the rest will be her istihaza. And there are times that there are girls which they start bleeding and they continue to bleed, like they don't stop. So in that case, what we do, that because we take a month, right? So the first 10 days will be her haid, and the next 20 days, even though she is bleeding, we will say that is her istihaz, and she will pray and do everything normal as she do. I will inshallah do that afterwards, at how she will perform ibadat and everything. But if she continues to bleed for the whole month, then the first 10 days, he will take it as haid, and the next is istihaza. And if she's bleeding less than 3 days, even for months, then we cannot say that that girl has started her periods. Okay. And for the habitual, which we all are, right? So we have established habit, 8 days, 9 days, 3 days, whatever that is. So we have our established habits, and then we have to follow that habit. If at times we go wrong, right? If at times we have started irregular bleedings. So should I continue, right? Is it okay?
Yeah, we have time. It's 12:45 now.
Okay.
So I think we should finish it and maybe have questions on this.
So for us, it's very, very, very important to note down our habit. Even if you see every month the same number of days of haid, like 8 days, and then you have 20 days of purity, still we should write down, because we don't know when a time comes you started having irregular bleeding and you don't remember, right? So it's very, very important, because even with our habit, there are some experience a fixed number of days that you bleed, let's say 5 days every month. And there are certain women, they are fixed dates. Okay, from day, from every month from 1st till 5, I bleed every month, the same dates. Okay, so there are different types, even in habitual women who experiences differently. There are some women who experience every month different, like first month she experiencing 4 days, second month 5 days, third month again 4. So for us it's very, very important to note down our habit. Okay,
shall we take questions from online first?
because I was thinking if I started, because this will go like long, if I started explaining habitual, like how to basically deal with your regular readings, and it will take about 15-20 minutes. Should I stop or should I just carry on, because it will take a bit more long?
Stop because the time is finished.
Okay, inshallah. 10.
Yeah.
Okay, inshallah.
Yeah.
Take inshallah.
Yeah,
Then we'll carry next
so
week,
online, if you have any questions, you can ask now. Open your mics up and you can ask, inshallah. Then teacher will obviously answer you if you have any questions. We have few students online. Or if you want to write it down, even you can write it down. I don't think anybody has questions. So if somebody spoke, no. So if here anybody wants to, I have 2 questions which I'll ask later. जी
लास्ट वाली बात तो भी है, कंफ्यूज नहीं, लेकिन एवरी मंथ पीछे को जाते हैं अपने पीरियड्स, लाइक 1 to 5 then 27 to 28, मेरे ऐसे कि हर वीक पीछे को जैसे ही जा रहे हैं, लेकिन उससे डेज भी थोड़े कम ऊपर हो रहे होते हैं
जी. It's fine as long as it's not less than 3 days.
Okay.
It's fine.
and more
3 days and more, it's all fine.
All right.
जी 3 days से कम नहीं होने चाहिए. अगर बेसिकली अगर होए भी, then that month अगर आपको that will not be your head. Inshallah, I'm going to explain this inshallah next week when we do the examples. Inshallah, it will get more clear.
मुझे पूछा था ये जो स्पोर्टिंग को भी इस्तेमाल होती है कि ये पीरियड से आते हैं?
It depends कि ये आपके हैबिट डेज में आ रही है या आउटसाइड ऑफ हैबिट डेज में आ रही है. तो अगर आपके पता के डेट्स हैं और आपको उस डेट्स में आपको स्पॉटिंग हो रही है, तो वो आपको हेड में ही इंक्लूड होगी. बट यू हैव टू सी, दैट्स व्हाई आपको अपनी यू हैव टू वेरी स्पेसिफिक ऑन योर हैबिट कि अगर आपको लेट्स से अगर आपकी प्योरिटी 20 डेज है कि आप 20 डेज हेड खत्म हुआ, देन 20 डेज के बाद आपको दोबारा ब्लीडिंग होती है, ठीक है, बट दिस टाइम आपको 15 डेज के बाद स्पॉटिंग स्टार्ट हो गई, then we have to see कि हम आपको उस स्पॉटिंग को हम लोग पीरियड्स लेंगे या नहीं लेंगे. तो इंशाल्लाह I will tell this as well in the next class इंशाल्लाह.
वही आ रही 3 to 10 days का सर्कल होना चाहिए.
जी
ये निशानी है.
जी बिल्कुल
कम में 10 से.
जी, that's it जी. And again इसमें भी then जी, तो इसमें जी बस जब आप irregular होते हैं then you have to follow your habit के even though if you are
40 है थोड़ा जोड़ के वो 10 से
अंदर जी 3 to 10 के बीच में.
3 दिन पहले से ब्लड में नमाज पढ़ सकते
3 दिन पहले सॉरी
हैं.
within 3 days में अगर हुई.
हाँ जी, बट यू हैव टू, अगर आपके वो 3 दिन आपके हैबिट टाइम में आ रहे हैं कि आप ड्यू हैं उन दिनों में, देन यू स्टॉप प्रेइंग. लेकिन अगर लेट्स से कि आपको पता चले 2 दिन के बाद कि आपकी ब्लीडिंग स्टॉप हो गई है एंड देन देयर इज अ गैप ऑफ 15 डेज, मिनिमम 15 डेज का गैप आया अगर, तो फिर आप वो 2 डेज आपके वो हेड नहीं कराएंगे, देन यू हैव टू मेक अप दोस प्रेयर्स. बट इंशाल्लाह ये आपको पता चल जाएगा जब आपको पता हो कि आपकी हैबिट है और आप यू आर ड्यू इन फ्यू डेज इन टाइम एंड यू आर स्टार्टेड स्पॉटिंग.
शुरू में अपने बिगनर्स बच्चों को
ओके, बिगिनर के लिए, द बिगिनर्स के लिए भी इट हैज टू मोर देन 3 days. 3 days से ज्यादा स्पॉटिंग या ब्लीडिंग जो भी है, बट इट हैज टू बी मोर देन 3 days, नॉट लेस देन 3 days.
लेस देन हुआ तो वो नमाज
जी जी
लेकिन वो तो बाद में ही पता चलेगा ना, शुरू में पता ही नहीं होगा.
जी.
क्योंकि हमारे होता है ना शुरू में जब होते हैं बच्चे तो वो एक बार तो होता है दूसरी बार नहीं होता है।
जी
एक दो दिन बाद फिर नहीं हुआ तो इसके बाद
जी
तो मुझे ये सर मतलब एक बेटी का है 10 डेज उसकी जब से हुई है मतलब रिजल्ट स्टार्ट 10 डेज उसकी हैबिट लास्ट मंथ हुई है 20
ओके जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम। अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
21st को से
जी आप एक सेकंड वेट
उसके
कीजिएगा।
बाद 13 डेज नो मतलब मैंने तो उसको 10 डेज के बाद मैंने बोला बेटा ये कहा था ये मत करिए
जी
लेकिन इन द मिडिल 13 डेज उसकी प्योरिटी मतलब ब्लड नहीं था बट नेक्स्ट मंथ सेम डेट पे जो लास्ट मंथ हुई थी उसको फिर दोबारा पीरियड स्टार्ट हुआ इट इज लेस देन 15 डेज आफ्टर 13 डेज ब्लीडिंग हुई फॉर 20 डेज जो उसके पीरियड से स्टार्ट हुई 15 डेज 20 डेज ब्लीडिंग हुई है 13 डेज का गैप आया नेक्स्ट मंथ सेम डेट पे दोबारा उसको ब्लीडिंग स्टार्ट हुई है जो लास्ट मंथ उसके साथ
अच्छा उसने मतलब 10 डेज का हेड खत्म किया, वो खत्म हो गया, फिर 13 डेज का गैप आया एंड देन 20 डेज की ब्लीडिंग स्टार्ट हो गई।
नहीं फिर दोबारा उसको पीरियड
10 days,
हाँ
बट वो 13 डेज का गैप था, राइट?
13 डेज का gap।
और फिर 10 डेज की ब्लीडिंग।
20 डेज की ब्लीडिंग थी before।
पहले 20 डेज की ब्लीडिंग
अगर
थी।
मेरे पास उसकी डेट्स हैं 21st को स्टार्ट की है और उसके बाद वो फिनिश
actually just one second before we go on to this, can we ask questions regarding this topic so that we can end the session and then maybe you can ask different type of questions, yeah, otherwise everybody has a question. So अगर इस question इस session के बारे में कोई question है तो वो पूछ लें आप. No, I have one which you mentioned C-section में C-section में bleeding नहीं होती है apparently foreign,
मतलब
Right.
रेयर केसेस में।
oh rare cases में. So in that case person has to pray after the birth.
No,
अगर
after
नहीं-
the birth, after the birth, obviously she doesn't see the blood
Blood
from the
straight away.
vagina.
Mm.
Then she has to take ghusl, and but the thing is, at that like situation में वो जो होती है, she cannot take ghusl, right?
No?
मतलब in a sense कि जिस बेचारी जिस हालत में
अच्छा,
होती
जिस
थी
हालत-
सेक्शन में,
Well,
तो
ले सकते हैं. So after my second child, nurses pushed me to the
जी.
bathroom, go and take a ghusl.
I know they do, but if आपकी ऐसी condition है that you cannot take it,
Okay.
then inshallah you will be forgiven, but आपको कज़ा फिर करनी पड़ेगी।
Good. So that's what I'm saying.
जी.
So okay, take ghusl and then start praying
जी.
until you see the blood
जी.
from vagina.
जी.
Okay. And the second question is for the beginners who are 10 days कि जिसके हो गए,
हम्म.
and the second month she supposing she has the purity normal valid purity and then she bled for 7 days or 8 days. So now for the first time she bled for 10 days. Does she have to do qada or no? Or now her habit is 7 days now every month.
No qada, because
No
that was
qada.
her first time, right?
Okay.
There is no established habit for her.
So okay.
So this it can happen that second month she, like you said, 7 days.
Mhm.
The next month she sees only 5 days. So
Okay.
for her we say, because we have to see few months how she goes.
Okay. So no
जी.
qada for that.
जी.
That's it.
Because 10 days तो वैसे ही valid है ना?
Yeah.
few months तक उसकी habits हमको देखनी होती है, उसको पता नहीं चलेगी first few months से उसकी।
No, because it was within the 10 days.
If it doesn't go over 10, अगर within 10 है, within like 3 to 10 है, तो फिर आप जी तो वो कज़ा नहीं करनी पड़े। अगर she goes over 10 और उसने thinking कि it's my head और उसने miss कर दी नमाज, then she has to do qada.
Okay, जी online आपका कोई
जी
question था?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम सलाम।
जी मेरा नाम गुलनरगिस है, मैं न्यू कासल अपॉन टाइम से बोल रही हूँ। मेरा सवाल ये है कि जब हम कॉन्सेप्शन करवाते होते हैं औरतें जो ज़ाहिर है एक जरूरी चीज, तो उसमें आपकी ना हैबिट ऊपर नीचे हो जाती है, आपके डेज भी खराब हो जाते हैं, आपकी स्पॉटिंग भी बहुत ज्यादा हो जाती है, आपका 7 डेज 5 डेज हो तो 10 डेज आपकी ब्लीडिंग होती है। तो जब हमारी हैबिट खराब हो जाती है तो 10 दिन को हम अब अपनी हैबिट समझे या वो 5 डेज समझे जो उस कॉन्ट्रसेप्शन से पहले था?
जी मैं आपको आंसर कर देती हूँ इंशाल्लाह, ये हम नेक्स्ट आंसर करने वाले थे, बट जो आपकी कॉन्सेप्शन से पहले हैबिट थी ना, लेट्स से 8 days या 7 days, you will take those number of days as your head after contraception, even if you are bleeding more than 10 days.
सही, तो उसमें फिर आप मियां बीवी का आपका कांटेक्ट हो सकता है?
जी वो हाँ जी वो सब आप सब इस्तेहाजा में
हाँ,
आप सब कर सकते हैं जो आप नॉर्मल हालत में करते हैं, बट
क्योंकि
यू हैव टू मेक श्योर।
उसमें आपको बहुत हैवी पीरियड्स होते हैं समटाइम्स।
जी सॉरी क्या होता है?
हैवी पीरियड होते हैं 10 डेज
जी
या इस तरह
जी
15 डेज, तो ऐसी सूरत में ना, और अगर गलती से खुदा ना खास्ता ऐसा अगर हमने किया तो उस पे कोई गुनाह तो नहीं?
नहीं, गुनाह नहीं है, बट इसमें मैं आपको बताऊंगी नेक्स्ट क्लास में कि अगर आपकी बट आपको यू हैव टू मेक श्योर कि आपके हैबिट डेज खत्म हो गए हैं, right? And then you can have uh, intercourse and everything, but that has to be, you have to make sure, because the thing is, अगर कभी कभी आपकी हैबिट let's say 8 days होती है,
हो जाती है, यस, हैबिट चेंज भी होती रहती है। अब
जी
जैसे
हैबिट चेंज,
I'm
जी अगर
40
आपकी
प्लस,
हैबिट,
यस आई एम 40 प्लस, और समटाइम्स आपको पता है फिर 45 में इस तरह आपका साइकिल भी चेंज होता है।
जी वही मैं बता रही थी कि अगर आपकी इस हैबिट चेंज होती है, तो अगर आपको लेट्स से आप 8 डेज रीड करती हैं, बट अब आपको 5 डेज रीडिंग होती है, ठीक है, तो उसमें ये बोलते हैं कि आप 5 डेज के बाद गुस्ल करके नमाज शुरू कर दें, बट आप इंटरकोर्स जो है ना वो आप 8 डेज के बाद करेंगे, क्योंकि वो आपकी स्टैब्लिश्ड हैबिट है। ये मैं ये आगे नेक्स्ट उसमें आने वाला था, लेकिन आपके मैं क्वेश्चन को आंसर करने के लिए बता रही हूँ कि अगर आपकी स्टैब्लिश्ड हैबिट है कि आपको 8 डेज ही आते हैं, और इस मंथ आपको लेट्स से 5 डेज रीडिंग होके खत्म हो गए हैं, तो आप 5 डेज के बाद गुस्ल करके नमाज कुरान सब शुरू कर देंगे, सिर्फ इंटरकोर्स, क्योंकि इट कैन हैपन कि आपको दोबारा ब्लीडिंग हो जाए, दोबारा स्पॉटिंग हो जाए, तो अगर आपको
वो जो
विदिन
3 दिन मैंने नमाज पढ़ी या कुरान पढ़ा है, जो कुछ किया है, तो वो वैलिड होगा? अगर मेरा रोजा भी है, फर्ज करें रोजे भी तो हम रखते हैं रोजों में, तो वो फिर रोजे वैलिड हैं कि इनवैलिड हैं कि मैं 8?
अगर आपको खुदा ना खास्ता दोबारा ब्लीडिंग हमने देखी 8th डे या 7th डे या स्पॉटिंग भी देखी, तो वो आपका रोजा जो है, नमाज का तो मसला नहीं है, बट रोजा आपका इनवैलिड हो जाएगा, वो रोजा
हाँ,
को दोबारा
यही मैं
करना
पूछना
पड़ेगा।
चाहती हूँ। तो ज़ाहिर है समटाइम्स फिर इंटरकोर्स कर लेते हैं, तो ऐसी सूरत में फिर हमें कोई उसका ये है क्या कहते हैं,
मुमियाजा।
और
खमियाजा।
इंटरकोर्स इसलिए इंटरकोर्स नहीं करना चाहिए जब तक आपकी हैबिट डेज खत्म ना हो जाए, कि 8 डेज आपको पता है आपके 8 डेज ही हैं, तो 8 डेज के बाद ही आप इंटरकोर्स करें, बट आप नमाजें और बाकी दिन शुरू, और रोजे का भी है कि अगर इफ यू वांट टू टेक अ रिस्क यू कैन टेक अ रिस्क, बट इफ यू वांट टू बी प्रिकॉशियस तो आप फिर 8 डेज के बाद ही रोजे रखें, टू बी ऑन द सेफ साइड, कि आपको
ठीक है।
दोबारा
और
से अदा ना करने
चले
पड़े।
एक सवाल और कि मिसाल के तौर पर मेरा 5 दिन की हैबिट्स थी, और इस हफ्ते मुझे 8 दिन के हो गए, सॉरी इस महीने, सॉरी
जी
इस
जी
महीने मुझे 8 दिन 9 दिन हो गए और मैंने नमाज नहीं पढ़ी, मैं यही समझ रही हूँ ये मेरा हैज है,
जी
या मैं ये समझती हूँ, और वो मुझे सॉरी 10 डेज से ऊपर होगी जो कि इस्तिहाजा है, तो ऐसी सूरत में मुझे 5 दिन के बाद सारी नमाजों का जो है कज़ा करनी पड़ेगी?
जी जी ये 5 वक्त जी दिन ही करने पड़ेंगे आप।
मेरा हैबिट 5 दिन की है, लेकिन इस दफा मुझे 10
आप
डेज या मोर देन
हाँ
10 डेज हो गया है, तो अब
जी
मुझे
अगर
5 दिन से लेकर या 10 दिन के बाद वाली की नहीं मुझे कज़ा है, बल्कि पहले से कज़ा करनी पड़ेगी
जी आपको 5 दिन के बाद
से
से कज़ा
सारे
करनी
दिनों को।
होगी। जी अगर आपकी 10th डे को खत्म हो जाती लेट्स से, या 9th डे को खत्म हो जाती, तो आपको कज़ा करनी नहीं पड़ती, क्योंकि वो विद इन 10 डेज आ गई आपकी ब्लीडिंग, तब आप कहेंगे आपकी हैबिट चेंज हो गई फ्रॉम 5 to 9 डेज या 10 डेज।
और अब
इंशाल्लाह हम
वैसे
लोग ये हम जी
चलिए ठीक है, चल
ये हम लोग
इंशाल्लाह मैं भी
नेक्स्ट लेसन में
नमाज पढ़नी।
इंशाल्लाह इसी एग्जांपल्स को लेके चलेंगे, तो और क्लियर हो जाएगा इंशाल्लाह।
तो एवरी थर्सडे आपकी क्लास होनी है 12 till 1:45?
जी
12 to 42. जी
यस, जज़ाकल्लाह, थैंक यू सो
जज़ाकुमुल्लाह खैर।
बारकल्लाह फी सुब्हानकल्लाहुम्मा व बिहम्दिका
मच।
नशहदु अन ला इलाहा इल्ला अंता नस्तगफिरुका व नतूबु इलैक. There are 2 more questions. I just want to ask you if you have a group to stay connected with you. Sorry, Papa.
कैमरा ऑफ है ना?
Camera नहीं, sorry, on था. So sorry.
नहीं बस मैं
कैमरा पहले ऑफ कर देते हैं.
हाँ मैं
Sorry.
नहीं तो मसला नहीं। मैं आपके पास आ रही हूँ। बाजी ये इंट्रो में क्या बोलूँ, ये तो पहले
You can leave your number, है ना? तो then make
Hmm.
वैसे तो कोई ऐसा connection का कुछ ऐसा है
कोई
नहीं
group
ना
नहीं
कोई meaning the class is going to happen on Zoom जी मैं उनका क्या सईदा ताज़मीन आपका क्वेश्चन के if we can stay connected कनेक्शन यही है क्योंकि अलग से कुछ ऐसा नहीं है कि ग्रुप के अलावा कोई और तालीम दी जाएगी so inshallah whatever is going to happen in the class otherwise there is no group we didn't form any group so yeah
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Walaikum assalam
wabarakatuh.
warahmatullah जी
I'm Saida Tasmeen. Actually, I wanted to ask means how we will be able to know that you will conduct a next session when and how. So
it was on
that's
the
the
poster
major
it's every
concern.
Thursday according to England time is 12 o'clock
Okay.
every Thursday only for 5
Yeah,
weeks
so this is the only mode of communication between us.
yes at the moment
Okay. So okay, thank you. This was
आप
very
कहाँ से बात कर
informative.
रही हैं
Actually, I'm from India, Hyderabad.
Can I just get the email address?
India yes
If you want.
maybe we can give your email address and then if you really need to speak to someone then you can speak to this email we're just typing
Yeah, thank you.
ठीक है the email address is sent अगर किसी ने बात करनी है if anybody wants to stay connected or any questions then you can email to them inshallah
Yeah.
okay
Thank you. This information was very helpful.
alhamdulillah
Thank you.
please
Alhamdulillah.
encourage others and maybe you can teach them the first lesson and then they can join the next session inshallah and we'll end up here now assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah